There is no perfect tax-based formula which can be used. There is a spectrum of various possibilities ranging from the pure area basis. You measure just the number of square meters of land and building area, or on the other extreme of the spectrum is the full market value that you can use as a tax base. However, as I said, trying to choose a kind of optimal solution along the spectrum for a given country requires answering the basic fiscal question, which is the significance of property tax in fiscal architecture. How much revenue is the property tax supposed to raise, given and compared to other taxes? And only after answering this basic fiscal issue or question, you then follow up with political issue, which is the fair way to share the tax burden that is needed to cover the costs of various local services that are not covered by fees. So only after you have done this, the politicians want to make sure that people pay their fair share, and then you start wondering about what kind of implementation possibilities for the system you have. So you have to resolve the follow-up issues like beneficiary government level. Usually it's a local government, but not always. Sometimes the revenues are shared between local and senior governments. In some few countries, it's the senior government that is the beneficiary of that revenue. Then obviously you come back to this issue of the tax-based model, area, value, or something in between. And then the formula for implementing this model. Again, there are many formulas for doing this. Then you have to resolve the issue of who sets the tax rates, what kind of tax relief or tax exemptions you can offer, and then the administrative issues of collection and enforcement, including appeals. So coming back to the main, so to say, question, the choice of the tax-based model, where between pure area basis and the full market value, where do you place your model between those two extremes? That very much depends on the revenue level or the tax burden that you decide in this first basic question, how big the revenue from property tax is supposed to be. The higher the revenue you want to raise, the higher the tax burden you put on the taxpayers, and then in this case the taxpayers demand equity and fair sharing of this high tax burden, and in such a case you move closer to the ad valorem system because it is more equitable than the area-based system. But that depends on how big the tax burden you decide you want to have in your own country. Then another big issue is the non-fiscal benefits that a given tax-based model can bring. The ad valorem tax-based model helps to address a lot of misallocation of land uses that our cities, I mean our in the post-Soviet, so to say, sphere, have inherited. And if you don't have the market-calibrated, value-based, value-sensitive, so to say, taxation of properties, you do not address those misallocations. You don't reallocate the land uses to more efficient land uses. So it's a very important argument. It's a non-fiscal argument. It doesn't raise revenue, but it improves the land administration, the use of land, the efficiency of the land use. So this should be really emphasized and noticed, especially in countries like, for example, Slovenia. And then finally, obviously, the simplicity of administrative system is very important. You can have very sophisticated system with setting values, but if this is very complicated in the administrative sense, it will have a lot of problems. So you try to simplify the administration system as much as you can so that the taxpayers understand it easily, the tax administrators are happy with it, you minimize the number of appeals and problems that they come with a more, so to say, complicated system. So we concluded with saying that there are many options. Actually, there is no one, so to say, best model that you can apply. Every country has to make homework, trying to optimize and choose whatever fits for that particular country. You can use experience of other countries. You can have ideas from various examples, but you really have to go the whole, so to say, exercise in your own country.